Hello. So today I'd like to take a bit of time to speak about the shadow, what it means, how it shows up in our lives, and also how we can utilize it so that it is alchemized into our gifts and our strengths. So the shadow is the part of us that are not seen by ourselves and also by others. Sometimes they're seen by others but not ourselves. It could also be our blind spots. And if you think of ego consciousness as the parts that we understand of ourselves, the parts that are facing the sun, and in astrology that would be our sun sign, our core archetype, who we are, and the light that we are here to bring to the world, and what we are, what our soul chose to teach people through our very embodiment, living by example. The moon on the other side is what is being reflected by the sun, and within the moon holds our deepest innermost self, and also a lot to do with our shadows. And that's not to say that our sun doesn't carry our shadows, because it does, especially when we are not utilizing our gifts, when we've been taught or brought up to kind of shut down our gifts, such as speaking up, or being very sensitive to the subtleties that we kind of perceive around us, and then what happens is that these gifts begins to be stuffed down into like a box where we don't show the world, or we only show like our closest innermost circle that we feel extremely safe to reveal these sides of ourselves. And then there's also the parts of ourselves that we don't like, the parts of ourselves that I would say we learned not to like, we learned not to accept, we learned to shut down, and then we just stuff it in a corner where we hope that by snuffing it out, it doesn't show itself in our lives again. And the truth is that that doesn't happen. When we put things away, this is simply disembodying these parts of ourselves. They become fragmented out, and usually it happens when there is a moment of threat, when we express these qualities of ourselves or these sides of ourselves, and it wasn't liked, it wasn't well received. We then stuff it aside just so that we can belong or be accepted, or to just get by, you know, especially if we've been raised in a generation or a culture of violence. I don't know if I should put a trigger warning here, but like a lot of, from where I was brought up in Singapore, it was very common for parents to cane and hit their children when they misbehave, without necessarily explaining the repercussions of the behavior, but simply because it maybe inconvenienced the parents, it put the children in danger, it wasn't the values that the parents lived their lives by, or the principles, or it brought shame to the family, that would just really typically result in punishment. And punishment comes through many forms, but what is most utilized by parents back in the day was violence and negative reinforcement, and not necessarily explaining, verbalizing to the child in a way that the child could understand the impact of why they did what they did. But what happens is that the child, or us, even as adults, we do this. We just stuff aside these parts of ourselves. We learn not to express too much. We learn to keep our opinions to ourselves. We learn to force a smile when we don't feel like it. Basically, we learn how to not be authentic, and how to please, how to be in a situation whereby someone holds power over us and what's needed, so that we please them, we get their approval, we do what we need to keep ourselves safe. So now in this work that I'm still in the midst of, which is a lot to do with reclaiming our power, reclaiming our voice, reclaiming our gifts. So much of this, it's really not like sparkly, sunshiny kind of vibes, but it's so necessary to delve into the shadows, the underworld within ourselves, to see what are these parts of us that are disowned and disembodied, so that we can let them know, like, hey, it's safe now. It's safe now. We are no longer in that environment. You are safe now. You are safe with me. Come on out. And committing to those words, because more likely than not, when expressing these parts of us have brought us danger, shame, exile, some kind of exile at one point in our lives, it's going to be really freaking hard to not exile these traits within ourselves. So really meaning it when we tell these parts of ourselves, like, hey, it's safe to come out and you are safe with me, to be that safe parent that we never got in terms of these aspects of ourselves. So holding them, befriending them, being present to them. And I like speaking with them, asking them, what is it that you need? What do you desire? What is it that you long to tell me that you couldn't before, because your voice has been taken away from you? And usually when these parts of us get to speak, whether it's through sensations, just through claircognizance of inner knowing, sensing, the intuition of these parts of us responding to us, usually when they are more and more feeling safe and accepted, that's when we begin to see how they present themselves in the world through us, that really serves us, that really allows for us to express the specifically unique flavor that we are, and that's exactly how it should be, like not trying to reach for an ideal, but to strip away all of those conditioning so that we can land into who we are here to be and allowing ourselves to be. So with that, like, I think what is most important to express right now in this context, it's really that when we are seeking to reclaim our power and to restore everything that maybe we have surrendered or was taken away from us, it is really for us to delve deep into what has been pushed down inside of us, create a safe container for them, and then allowing them to integrate into our daily life. And perhaps these traits might have been exiled as infants, so we would be getting to know ourselves as infants all over again, like starting life all over again with these parts of us. So it might be doing things very childlike, very basic, like just simply holding these parts of ourselves, breathing, feeling skin to skin contact, like infant with mother. It could be spending time with nature, connecting with the great mother. It could be being held in friendship, being held in romantic partnerships, allowing these parts of us to express, like the really infantile dimensions of ourselves, to be seen and to be held, so that together with us they get to grow. And it's really in these parts of us whereby it's been pushed down, it's been suppressed, they carry so much energy, so much potential of our creation, our gift to the world, and also our strength. So I have a very strong belief that our greatest strengths lies within our deepest and darkest shadows, the parts of us that haven't yet been integrated. Because when we delve deep, and not spending all day in the depths, but when we make time to go down to the depths of ourselves and remember these parts of us, that's when we can become fuller and fuller as a human being, not as a person who's just trying to achieve. And also and nothing is wrong with achieving is wonderful, but achieving in a way that's not true for us, achieving in a way that's been promoted or conditioned upon us by modern day culture, by patriarchy. But instead, to keep stripping the layers of falsehoods that we have taken on, consciously, unconsciously, and allowing ourselves to really be. And in that space of being lies our greatest power, our greatest gifts. So that is really my hope for the world, and it is also the crux of why I'm so invested in this work of the path of becoming, embodying our becoming, so that we don't waste this life, or we don't wait till enough is enough, but we are proactive about it, and we allow for ourselves to step into our power now and spend the rest of our lives, however many decades we have, feeling so much joy, so much fulfillment, so much pleasure, so much abundance in doing the work that we deeply love and truly believe in. So let me know if this resonates with you, and if you have any questions at all, just reach out.